So today we're going to refute the claim that Daniel Haqiqatjou saying that the Imams allowed publicly advising. Habibi, they allow public advice. Clearly, they said if there's a maslahah, if there is going to be a result, not like right now. Right now, there's many revolutions, many protests around the world, many people attacking the Muslim countries such as Saudi Arabia and others. If they go and do public advice, then they're gonna make the people go against, do more revolutions, more protests, and go against the hakim, go against the Muslim leaders, and there won't be any maslahah. Because if today those who tried it have been in jail, like At-Turayfi and others like him who tried to do inkar alanan, who tried to do they tried to do a public inkar and they went to jail. So there's no maslahah in that. So there's no maslahah in that. They said if there's only a maslahah, and again, there's a difference between the hakim being right in front of you, where he can defend himself if you speak against him, or if you speak against him behind the screen, like on a computer screen and everything, where everyone can see and interpret things differently, and then they start to go against the hakims and do revolutions and chaos. So I will be exposing him because he's basically trying to say that Ibn Uthaymeen and Ibn Baz are contradicting themselves, right? They're contradicting themselves. So this is what basically the Khawarij, like such as Ahmedos and others, they try to say. Regarding this, I'm only gonna make this video just to clarify, and then go back to the mode of exposing Ahmedos by repeating the same things as I do personally. But I just want to show you how he contradicts himself. Let's watch.
Can be served through public inkar and private advice is not possible, then public inkar is permissible, and in some cases it might even be preferable. Another major scholar of the 20th century, Sheikh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah, says the same thing in his fatwa. Quote, the basic rule is that the one doing inkar has to consider what is the best option and what is going to get the most success. What works with one ruler might not work with another ruler. Therefore, the Muslim who is giving advice should consider the factors that will lead to success. If giving advice publicly is welcomed, as in the story of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, then that's fine. However, if the inkar is for sensitive matters and he fears that it won't be accepted from him, or there will...
By the way, the story of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, he did inkar in front of the hakim, while the hakim was in front of him, not behind the screen, not behind groups, right? He did it in front of the hakim because the hakim is in front of him. He's able to defend himself against him, against his claims, right? He didn't go like Daniel Haqiqatjou and behind the screen in the West and say the Saudi Arabia does this and that and that. And Daniel Haqiqatjou didn't do it for. He knew that if he does it, he'll be in jail in Saudi Arabia, and if he does it, he'll be banned from Saudi Arabia. So there's no maslahah in that, because the Saudi leaders do not allow it. They will take him and they will do this to him and do that to him. Yet he's still doing it, not for maslahah, but to cause chaos.
be a bad consequence.
Because Turayfi did it and he went to jail. So there is no maslahah in that.
Then he should do what is best. If he were in a place or a country with someone and he feels that the best option is to do inkar of that person with his tongue in public, then he should do so. And he should take into account the best option, as people vary in these issues. Therefore, if he feels that it is not the best option to do it in public, and that he...
People vary in these issues. Who is trusted more than the one who is not trusted? For example, if a hakim knew a certain scholar and knew his trust, and knew that if that scholar, if he did public advice, he means something truly to him, because this hakim knows the scholar very well, then this is a different condition than others vary. Because right now, if Ali Dawa does it in Saudi Arabia, he'll be in jail like a Turifi. He'll be banned from Saudi Arabia. So there will be no maslahah in that. And he's particularly because today there's more revolutions in Muslim countries. There's more protests against the leaders. There's more chaos. There's more dhulm. There's more oppression. The countries are being destroyed because of that. Like, look, they did to Bashar al-Assad. Now Syria is destroyed, right? No Muslim can go to Syria right now because the Kafir rules it. Kafir has more power than them. The things have become more worse than before the revolutions in Syria and before the Khuruj.
Write or talk to him privately instead, then he should do so, because these matters differ based on everyone's circumstances. Also, this person should keep everything private as much as he can. Give him a visit, write to him, and if he feels that the best thing to do is to do inkar publicly, and he says so and so did such and such, yet the private advice did not work with him, and he felt that doing this in public is going to be useful, then he should do so. So Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah, is saying the exact same thing. There is a case-by-case basis to things, but sometimes public condemnation of the ruler may be necessary.
When is it necessary? If he feels that he won't get in trouble through that he won't make things more worse like is happening today. Look what Ibn Baz really said, fool. Look what Ibn Baz really said. He said there's a question here. هل من منهج السلف نقد الولاة من فوق المنابر؟ وما هو منهج السلف في نصح الولاة? A question is saying, is it from منهج السلف to go on top of the manabir pulpits and basically start, blasting against and backbiting the wilat? What is the منهج السلف in giving advice to the wilat? Ibn Baz says ليس من منهج السلف التشهير بعيوب الولاة وذكر ذلك على المنابر لأن ذلك يفضي إلى الفوضى وعدم السمع والطاعة في المعروف ويفضي إلى الخوض الذي يضر ولا ينفع، ولكن الطريق المتبع عند السلف النصيحة فيما بينهم وبين السلطان والكتابة إليه أو الاتصال بالعلماء الذين يتصلون به حتى يوجه إلى الخير. أما إنكار المنكر بدون ذكر الفاعل، ينكر الزنا وينكر الخمر وينكر الربا من دون ذكر من فعله، فذلك واجب لعموم الأدلة. So basically Ibn Baz says here in the first few parts that it is not from the manhaj salaf to basically go and publicly mention the faults of the rulers or mention it on the pulpits, because this may bring chaos and bring the rulers to not listen or obey in enjoining good, ويفضي إلى الخوض في الذي لا يضر ولا ينفع, and it becomes like a public thing that is like today, backbiting, which harms more than it brings benefit. But the way of the salaf that is followed is to privately give nasiha advice between you and the sultan in private, or to write to him a private message, or to do ittisal, to connect with the scholars, to call the scholars, which the scholars will call the hakim and tell him about the advice so that he may be bring to the goodness. But as for inkar al-munkar bidun dhikr, as for mentioning the evil doing without mentioning the one who does it, such as al-hakim, such as doing inkar on zina, saying zina is haram, saying alcohol is haram, saying riba, usury is haram, without mentioning the one who allows it or does it, such as the hakim. This is obligatory for the umum al-adillah. ويكفي إنكار المعاصي والتحذير منها من غير أن يذكر من فعلها لا حاكما ولا غير حاكم. And it's better to mention the evil doings and warn against them without mentioning the ruler or other than the ruler. And it says here ولما وقعت الفتنة في عهد عثمان قال بعض الناس لأسامة بن زيد ألا تكلم عثمان؟ فقال إنكم ترون أني لا أكلمه إلا أسمعكم، إني أكلمه فيما بيني وبينه دون أن أفتتح أمرا لا أحب أن أكون أول من افتتحه. So basically, when there's a fitna that happened during the time of Uthman, the people said to Usam bin Zayd, will you not speak to Uthman? Usam bin Zayd said, do you think that whenever I go to him and advise him, that I have to come and tell you that I advised them, or that I have to do it in front of you? Indeed, I just talk between me and him without mentioning the affair in publicly, because I don't love to be the first one who makes it open in public so that fitna doesn't happen. ولما فتح الخوارج الجهال باب الشر في زمان عثمان وأنكروا على عثمان علنا عظمت الفتنة والقتال والفساد الذي لا يزال الناس في آثاره إلى اليوم، حتى حصلت الفتنة بين علي ومعاوية وقتل عثمان وعلي رضي الله عنهما بأسباب ذلك، وقتل جمع كثير من الصحابة وغيرهم بأسباب الإنكار العلني وذكر العيوب علنا، حتى أبغض الكثيرون من الناس ولي أمرهم وقتلوه. وقد روى عياض بن غنم الأشعري أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من أراد أن ينصح لذي سلطان فلا يبديه علانية ولكن يأخذ بيده فيخلو به فإن قبل منه فذاك وإلا كان قد أدى الذي عليه. نسأل الله العافية. So basically the last part says when the Khawarij came, the ignorant Khawarij came and opened the door of evil in the time of Uthman, and they publicly advised Uthman right? They publicly condemned Uthman. The fitna became great, and the killing became great, and the corruption became great, in which the people till today are following. Till today, they are trying to open the door of evil and continue it until there happened the fitna between Ali and Muawiyah, and Uthman was killed because of that, and a lot of Sahaba were killed because of the people doing inkar public advice. They're doing public advice, public inkar of the Khalifs, and mentioning the faults of them, and a lot of people started to hate their rulers and kill them because of that. And Iyad bin Ghanam al-Ash'ari reported that the Prophet Muhammad says, "Man arada an yansaha lidhi sultan falyubdihi alaniya." Whoever wants to give a nasiha advice to the sultan, to the ruler, he must not do it in public. Rather, he takes him by the hand, and when he is in seclusion with him, he tells him. So if the ruler accepts, then this is good, and if he doesn't accept, then the person who did it in private has already completed his mission, right? This is what Imam Bas says, and he mentions clearly that this is from the action of the Khawarij to do inkar alaniyatan, right? If it's gonna cause more chaos and something like that, so it's better to do it privately. Let's continue to see what this fool has to say.
Condemnation of the ruler may be necessary. Finally, there is Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, who was asked about the hadith of advising the ruler in private and whether that hadith and wisdom must be utilized. So those will be the success, rahimahullah. The Sheikh was explicit. But consider Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. The Shaykh was explicitly asked about the hadith of advising rulers in private. In response, the Shaykh says very clearly, quote, "There is no doubt that denouncing evil is a duty for everyone who is able to do it, as Allah says, and let there be from you a nation inviting to all that is good, enjoining what is right, and forbidding what is wrong, and those will be the successful." There is also the ayah from the children of Israel through David and Jesus, son of Mary, for their disobedience and transgression, they did not forbid evil that they did. But we must know that these Islamic imperatives in such matters have different applications under different circumstances, and wisdom must be utilized. So, when to denounce publicly? Answer: when the interest of ridding evil and establishing good is served.
And then Al-Haqiqatjou is not doing that. Then Al-Haqiqatjou is not doing it. He is basically trying to do more evil than cause good. Such as scholars before him, such as Turefi, he did it. He went to jail for that. Because we know that today in Saudi Arabia there's a lot of people trying to attack the government, and there's not a lot of people trying to do revolutions and terrorist attacks to bring down the Saudi leaders.
Otherwise, if this interest cannot be served by public denunciation, it should be done privately.
Exactly. This is the part he didn't highlight. Otherwise, if this interest cannot be served in public denunciation, it should be done privately. So yeah, do it privately, because there's not going to be any good service for the public denunciation, because anyone who does it is going to jail, is trying to be suspected as an ikhwani.
Basically, the Shaykh is saying exactly what the other ulama of the past said.
Let me tell you what he said. Let me tell you what he said in context, fool. This is what Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen said. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen was asked, من هو الذي ينكر على الولاة علنا؟ هل الدعاة والعلماء وكذلك من هو الذي ينكر المنكرات الشائعة? So basically Ibn Uthaymeen was asked, who is the one who does refutation or public advice for the wilat in public? Is it the du'at, the people who gives da'wah, or the scholars? And who is the one who has to do the inkar on the munkarat that are apparent? So basically, if you look here, الشيخ says ما هو على المنكرات الشائعة. يعني مثلا عندنا الآن مثلا إيش منكرات شائعة مثل الربا، الميسر، التأمينات الآن موجودة عندنا أكثرها من الميسر، والغريب أن الناس أخذوها بالقبول ولا تكاد تجد أحدا ينكرها، مع أن الله قرنها بالخمر والأنصاب والأزلام، ولكن الناس سبحان الله ما تجد أحد ينكرها. تؤمن على سيارتك، وإلا على شيء آخر على بيتك. تسلم دراهم لا تدري هل تخسر أكثر أو أقل وهذا هو الميسر. So basically the Sheikh says, what is the munkarat al-sha'a? For example, is such as riba. You know, the munkar itself, saying that riba is haram, that people you know do it, and you don't, and people take it as acceptance that, oh, it's, we should leave it like that. This is mentioning that it's haram without mentioning the ruler clearly, as same as alcohol, idols, and something like that. فأقول the Sheikh says أما إنكار المنكرات الشائعة فأنكرها لكن كلامنا على الإنكار على الحاكم مثل أن يقوم الإنسان مثلا في المسجد ويقول مثلا الدولة ظلمت الدولة فعلت الدولة، يعني يتكلم في نفس الحاكم، هذا هو كلامنا فيه. ثم إن هناك فرقا بين أن يكون الأمير أو الحاكم الذي تريد أن تتكلم عليه بين يديك وبين أن يكون غائبا، لأن جميع الإنكارات الواردة عن السلف إنكارات حاصلة بين يدي الأمير أو الحاكم. This is what Ibn Uthaymin says. Ibn Uthaymin says, I say, as for doing inkar on the munkar, this is the case is, for us, we are talking about the hakim. For example, there's a difference between a person that is in the masjid who comes up on the pulpit and say that this state has oppressed another state, or the state did this. That means he talks directly against the ruler. This is what we're talking about. So there is a difference between the person is in between the hands of the hakim, and he's in between his hands, for example in front of him. This is where you can do public advice if there's going to be maslahah, if there's going to be an advantage in that. If he is in front of you, if the hakim is face to face, and there's a difference between him being absent, because the most of the inkarat that happen from the salaf, or the most inkarat that happen between the salaf, like Abu Sa'id al-Khudri for example, is in front, face to face to the hakim, not behind the screen. وهناك فرق بين كون الأمير حاضرا أو غائبا. الفرق أنه إذا كان حاضرا أمكنه أن يدافع عن نفسه ويبين وجهة نظره، وقد يكون مصيبا ونحن مخطئون. لكن إذا كان غائبا وبدأنا نحن نفصل الثوب عليه على ما نريد، نفصل الثوب عليه على ما نريد، هذا هو الذي فيه الخطورة، والذي ورد عن السلف كله مقابلة الأمير أو الحاكم. ومعلوم أن الإنسان لو وقف يتكلم في واحد من الناس ما هو ولاة الأمور في واحد من الناس في غيبته لقيل هذه غيبة، إذا كان فيك خير روح انصحه قابله. So for example, here the Sheikh says clearly, he says there's a difference between the Amir, the leader, being present in front of you or being absent. الفرق أنه إذا كان حاضرا أمكنه أن يدافع عن نفسه. The difference is, if he is in front of you, the leader is in front of you, and you try to publicly advise him in front of people, the leader is able to defend himself and to show his opinion so that people will not be deceived. And maybe through him showing his opinion, he might show the people that he is on the truth and that the one who's public advising is wrong. But if he was absent and we start to talk regarding him, basically talk regarding him, then there is a harm in that. There is a harm in that, because people might start to revolt and have evil thoughts about the hakim. And what is reported from the Salaf is that they used to face publicly advise the Emir, not behind the screen. And it is known that a person who stands up and speaks against one person that is not from the Wilat al-Umur, and he starts to to speak against a person who is absent, then this is known as ghiba. They will say it is ghiba. So basically, if the people will say to the regular person who is not a wali amr, that they will say, if he comes and backbites people, they will say this is ghiba. They will say to him, if you have any good in you, go and be in front of him and give him nasiha. Right? So this is what is said. Okay, so here for example, الشيخ says لا ما هو هكذا. أنا أريد مثلا أن أقول للناس اجتنبوا الربا، ولا يأتي ويقول هذه بيوت الربا معلنة ورافعات البناء، لا يقول هكذا، لأن هذا يتضمن أو إنكار الضمن على الولاة، لكن يقول تجنبوا الربا، الربا محرم وإن كثر بين الناس، الميسر حرام وإن أقر ما وما أشبه ذلك. This is regarding, the other munkars. He doesn't mention the hakim with his real name, but rather he says that stay away from riba, stay away from khamr, without hinting or directing it towards the hakim. This is what Ibn Uthaymeen said here clearly. And he said that there's a greater harm than it does good to advise the hakim when you're behind the screen. So people need to take things in context and not show that it contradicts.
إخواني أنه سمعنا والله أعلم أنه يوجد في بعض البلاد الإسلامية أن الخمر يشرب علنا. صحيح هذا؟
متواتر هذا.
صحيح؟
متواتر. اي نعم.
يعني يقولون يباع بالسوق ويجعل في الثلاجات. ها؟ أعوذ بالله.
أنا يا شيخ رأيت هذا بعيني في بلاد الشام هكذا يباع في كل مكان.
هؤلاء الذين يفعلون ذلك هل يقال إنهم مستحلون له أو غير مستحلين؟ مستحلين له لا شك. كيف يرخص له هذا الترخيص العام وفي الأسواق ويعطى رخصة إلا وأنه يرى أنه حلال؟ لو رأى أنه حرام ما فعل هذا. وقد ذكر العلماء أنه إذا استحل الخمر فهو كافر. من استحل الخمر فهو كافر إلا أن يكون حديث عهد في الإسلام لم ينشأ في بلاد الإسلام فهذا يعلم. لكن من نشأ في بلاد الإسلام يقرأ القرآن ويقرأ السنة ويسمعها من الناس ثم يقول الخمر حلال.
So as you can see here, the fool of this video, he put between brackets, yet comes out and says, or by way of action such as licensing permits. The Sheikh never said that. He said, yet he comes out and says that alcohol is permissible. Let us see if Muhammad bin Salman comes out and says that alcohol is permissible. I need anyone to show the dalil that he says it is halal, other than, saying or allowing it to be sold while having the view that it's haram. This is something else, and I will show you here. So what Shaykh ibn Baz says. He says, بيع الخمر وسائر المحرمات من المنكرات العظيمة. That it is selling alcohol or is from the محرمات, great evil deeds. And he says here, ولا شك أن بيع الخمر والمخدرات والدخان من التعاون على الإثم والعدوان. And regarding the one who sells alcohol or drugs, intoxications, or smokes tobacco, is from helping, doing evil things, wrongdoings. وهكذا العمل في مصانع الخمر, and also from working in the factories of alcohol. But does the one who work in the factories of alcohol, does he become a kafir if he believes that the alcohol that he is selling is haram? No, he says, Bas says, أما حكمه فهو عاص وفاسق. He is a fasiq. بذلك وناقص الإيمان, and he is low in iman. وهو تحت مشيئة الله يوم القيامة, إن شاء غفر له وإن شاء عفى له. And it is he is a fasiq, he's not a kafir, right? وهذا الحكم إذا لم يستحله, and he is a fasiq only if he did not say that khamr is halal. وأما إن استحل, but if he says that khamr is halal, فإنه يكفر بذلك, then he becomes a kafir through that, if he says it is halal. Okay, so here it says وهكذا الحكم في من استحل الزنا واللواط والربا. This is the one that allows riba and zina, adultery, and everything like that, says halal, then he is a kafir, right? أما من فعلها أو شيء منها, or as for the one who does it, who sells alcohol, who or allows alcohol to be sold, or allows riba to be done, but does not, وهو يعلم أنه حرام, but knows certainly that it is haram, and he believes it is haram, and he knows that he is عاصٍ لله, he is committing معصية to Allah, بذلك فهذا لا يكون كافرا. He is not a كافر بل هو فاسق تحت مشيئة الله سبحانه وتعالى. Rather he is a فاسق and not a كافر. So this is clearly shows that Ibn Uthaymin never made takfir on the hukam. He basically stated that it can be sometimes ruled that in some countries that if they are allowing alcohol, then the leaders can be kafirs if they have the belief that it is not haram. But if they have the belief that it is haram, then they are not kafirs. And he also stated that in one of his videos that the Muslim countries allowing riba because of some of the opinions of people, some of the opinions of people that come and actually use opinions, and the hakim sometimes is fooled by these people's opinions, and he is ignorant regarding it, and he sees a way, an opinion through it that yeah they may be correct, so he allows it in that case, but he has the i'tiqad that it is haram, so he falls under the category of jahl through that.